Hi, welcome back. And the video I wanted to make, finally, this car is performing the way it should. The steering issue has been fixed. As you can see, I've purchased an EX-6 Kyosho transmitter and it has solved all the problems. The steering is no longer switching back when it hits full right. This car is working correctly. Now, there's a couple of things I have to explain. First of all, yes, when I first bought the car, there was an issue with the transmitter and the receiver not working correctly, in that the steering was steering heavily to the left and it was having to be corrected to the right with the trim, and then the endpoints adjusted accordingly. Got the ICS lead, which I think Kyosho should include in the box. After speaking all to the other wonderful people on the Mini-Z Facebook groups who are very supportive, they all seem to have similar issues when they bought this car, that they've had to reprogram the car with an ICS lead. And I think that's happened with people who've had the EX-6 and the Noble NB4 as well so far. I don't know anything about the Futaba, but those three transmitters definitely, and the KT18 obviously, that has also caused problems. So yes, initially the problem was down to the receiver in the car and the transmitter and the car steering too far to the left. That was fixed with the reprogramming with the ICS lead. Then, as you saw my previous video, I started to have problems with the car swinging to the left wildly, which we thought was interference. And then on closer inspection, when I was turning the steering wheel, we were having this flicker of the steering to the other side, the opposite lock. After that video, I adjusted the endpoints down to the minimum completely and performed the same thing again, where I turned the wheel full lock and the steering would only move a little bit as the endpoint had been turned down, and then it would deflect the other way exactly the same and then back again. So it was staying within the endpoint, so clearly there wasn't a problem with the servo and the receiver was receiving the information. So in this instance, it was actually the transmitter, this KT18, which has served me pretty well. Never had a problem before. The car I used to use it with I sold, so I assumed it worked correctly, and I think it had been, but with a full day of track racing, I think what had happened is the steering wheel, when we turned to the right, was either this wasn't locked down correctly, but I'll go into detail in a later video about this, but I think the potentiometer was not working correctly and it was causing the car to slip in the other direction. Thank you to the guys at Wheelspoon Models who spotted this from the video and pointed it out to me, that it looked like there was the potentiometer in the transmitter, the pot, and if it wasn't for them, I probably still would have been scratching my head. So the first thing I did was order a new transmitter to try the car with. Now, all that aside, so I'm going to put my hand up for this one. I think the steering issue the second time was more down to me not spotting it was from the transmitter. So the car is working perfectly okay. So the good news is that I got an EX6. It was a great excuse to get one. And this transmitter transforms the car again. Now, the first thing I will say straight away, and I'll demonstrate this in a moment, is that the turning circle with the endpoints turned right up on both transmitters is tighter with this transmitter. The car will turn in tighter. I don't know why that is, but I think it's because this transmitter has got more adjustments built into it. You can adjust way more. I'll do a full review of this transmitter and the NB4 when my receiver chip arrives to the NB4. I've got the NB4 already. I'm just waiting for the receiver chip so I can plug it into the car and I can do a side-by-side comparison. But I will show you how the endpoints work. This transmitter, the menu on it is not as great as the NB4, but with a bit of playing around, you do get the hang of it. The main thing we're looking at the moment is the steering, which you can adjust as so. You can see I've got it set to 90% and 90%. You can also set the neutral, which I haven't figured out how to do yet, but it says you can. I will do that in the next video. What I will demonstrate next is the turning circle, but a few other points. You can adjust the gyro from the transmitter, which makes things much easier. You can also control the punch, the curve, the EXP, all these things that you can't do with the KT18. And I think if you're going to invest in one of these cars, I think a high-end transmitter or a medium-end transmitter like this one is the way to go. So I don't think there's any point trying to run one of these cars with the KT18. I just think you're losing out on too much. You're missing out on some of the performance. And certainly the amount of adjustability you really get the most out of the car. I can't wait to test this on the track, which I'll have to wait till the end of the month now, when I've got the guys back in and we set the track up and we do a bit of racing. But safe to say, the steering issue is fixed. So on the whole, I think it really comes down to, do you want to buy this car, spend the money on an ICS lead, and then spend the money on a transmitter, bearing in mind you have to buy the body and the wheels and the receiver chip. So it does add up. I personally love the car now, and I can't wait to race it. And even though I've got an AMZ, a BZ3 and an SZ, this is going to be my car of choice to race next time, just to see how it performs up against the other cars, especially with this new transmitter, because seeing the turning circle that much sharper and being able to adjust the steering responses, which is something else you can do with the EX-6, I think this car is going to fly. Okay, on to the steering test. So in the previous video, where the box is placed is where the KT18, after I'd corrected the steering, managed to turn the car to, so it was right onto that line. Now you can see with the EX-6, that turning circle is much sharper, much sharper. So when you've got that kind of extra control, it really tells you it's worth getting the better transmitter. So just a quick demonstration to show how it's easy to control the gyro. So I've set this preset here for the gyro. Now when I press it, you'll see, if I can actually get everything in the shot at the same time. There we go. If I press it once, and it tells me that it's come on, and it's on position 4. Hang on, it's disappeared again. Let's try that again. So position 4, and you can see the gyro position 4 is 75. And now when I'm moving the car, you can see the steering is correcting. Now if I keep pressing it the other way, so now you can see here no noise and the wheels aren't turning. So if I click it the other way, there we go. Now you can preset those values. There we go, off. So you can turn the gyro on and off from this transmitter, which is very useful. That's one of the many features this transmitter's got. Also the feel of the steering, dynamics of the steering, how quickly it returns to center, amongst other things, and you can adjust the tension on the steering wheel. Very clever transmitter. Didn't like it at first because of the menus, but it actually works very well with the Mini Z, but it has been made by Kyosho, so that's why. Okay, so just some footage here now of me flicking the steering backwards and forwards, showing you there's no issues with it. If anyone's interested to know, yes, we did get the KT80 working again, and that was mainly down to Jay, who's better with transmitters than I am. He did a bit of tinkering with it, but it is running okay, but I would not use it with this car now. I would only use this transmitter. It's way better. So that's my verdict on what I think you should use if you're going to have a choice between these two. Next time I'll review the MB4 and give you a choice between the EX-6 and the MB4 and tell you what I think. I'll tell you now, I've fallen in love with the operating system of the MB4. It is really nice, and the transmitter does look very upmarket. And to be honest, better quality than this, but this EX-6 has sold me on its functions and how well it works. So I'll leave you with some footage of me doing some drifting with the now functioning Mini Z. So, quick update, guys. Interestingly enough, you can actually pair this car both as MHS and ASF. Now, the MHS is meant to be quicker. I've just repaired the car as MHS, and yes, it does seem to be the steering is faster, but I can't tell until my track, because these are drift tyres and we're just drifting around. It's very hard to tell the difference. But I'm sure once I've got the car on the track, I'll be able to give a better idea. So that's just changed things around a little bit, because I've been testing it with the ASF so far, and I've just switched it over to MHS. So the process itself was pretty simple. The transmitter just needs to be switched back on with one of the buttons depressed, and it changes the mode over. The car itself, you just have to repair it. So now my car is paired as an MHS with the EX-6. That means if I change the model That means if I change it back to ASF on the transmitter, it won't pair with the car. You have to have it in the right mode. Just something to point out as a matter of interest. So just before I go, a special thank you to everyone who helped me to try and get through what was a confusing time with the Mini Z ma030 all-wheel drive. Thanks to Wheelspin Models, who've been really helpful despite my 1,000 emails asking them all different questions. They chased the supplier and got me answers, and they were the ones that spotted that the KT18 pot was the problem, so thanks to those guys. Thanks to the Mini Z World Facebook group, which everyone on there was so helpful. Thank you. And also a special thank you to Beaver's Hobby Channel. Anytime I get stuck on anything, he is the man I go to. I'm going to be testing next time the EX-6 and the Noble MB4 by FlySky, which I've already got, but I'm still waiting for the receiver chip. Once I get that, I will do a video comparing these two transmitters on the track with the Mini Z Evo and see which is better or which I prefer. And a lot of the times it does come down to personal taste and the kind of handling you like with a car. So that's all for now, and I have had lots of requests for videos. I will get round to them all. Hopefully whoever's got my Mini Z receiver chip at Coventry Parcel Force Customs will find it in their heart to let me have it sooner so I can get on and make this video, which we're all dying to see and I'm dying to see. Okay guys, thanks, I'll catch you later.